Welcome into the NFL Pick Show by Pool Genius for week number 8. My name is Spencer, joined as always by the lead analyst over at Pool Genius, Jason Lisk. How you doing this week, Jason? Looking forward to week 8.
Doing good, doing good. Coming off, my successful pick of Denver against the spread. I forgot to mention last week to you all, that was the fourth quarter line I was playing, not the full game line. So
fourth quarter,
my
minus
bad for not
7.5.
being specific on when I thought Denver would actually handle the Giants.
Hey, but Denver did come back and win that game outright, which did have NFL Survivor ramifications for those of you who watch this channel for Survivor picks as well. So we are glad that that came through. But yeah, we have several more value picks for this week number 8. We have 3 value picks for your game winner and spread pools. On top of that, Jason and I are going to list our favorite picks against the spread. And then at the end, we're going to throw in a teaser that we like, special to this week. We don't normally do that, but we were talking before we went live here, and this is a good teaser week. I mean, the line's just set up perfectly for it, and we found one that we like, so we will run through that as well. Before we get into it, I do want to ask you, as we do every single week, if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy our Pool Genius YouTube channel, please like this video and consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out. Consider the tip for what we do without actually putting money down to a tip. Just a little appreciation that you do enjoy this content and find it valuable. So with that, let's look at the game winner and spread pools for week number 8, and we have some value plays. I want to remind you that we have an article that we write every single week. I will link that in the description below. We update it throughout the week. We're recording here on Wednesday afternoon, so things always change. We have a lot of injuries coming into this week that we really don't know the status right now as of Wednesday, so we will be updating that article. That's a great way to follow along with all the changes that happen throughout the week. But as we see it right now, we have 3 game winner picks that are showing value. Number 1 on this list, Jason, the Houston Texans, who are favored at home against the San Francisco 49ers. The Texans are a value pick. The spread is minus 1.5. Houston favored. We give them 50.2% win odds. So basically a coin flip game, as close as you can get to it. The public's only picking them 29% of the time. That makes a little bit of sense when you consider 49ers just won a primetime showdown in fairly convincing fashion with some of their backups on Sunday Night Football last week against the Falcons. Houston's not looked good. On the other hand, Houston lost convincingly a game at Seattle on Monday Night Football last week, now has this short week. And there's a little bit of name and brand recognition that the public likes to gravitate to for San Francisco. So that explains it. And do you believe in this value we're getting here for the Houston Texans?
Oh boy, that's a tough one because this Houston team can be like watching paint dry on offense lately. Not pretty. Lots of breakdowns. I mean, Nico drops last week, CJ Stroud running backwards, lots of mistakes. Because their defense played really well and has for most of the year. That's what you're banking on, is that defense shows up. And that the San Francisco defense, the cracks start to show enough that this offense can do something. Because here's the thing, Houston's median, using a big word here, performance is way worse than their mean performance, because it's really pulled up by that blowout win over Tennessee, and as well as the blowout at Baltimore when Lamar Jackson, the first game he was out, when they really laid it on Baltimore and exploited that team playing with a backup quarterback. That said, the market has that down. I mean, Houston is rated way down. If we were going by just point differential, this line would be Houston by a lot more, honestly. They played a tough schedule. They really have, and they have not got it done in the key moments, but I do like them here because I think you are getting a lot of those classic factors. This 49ers team has probably overachieved and done really well. The coaching staff has gotten this team to play through the injuries, but this defense is down its top two defenders. These cracks are going to show up, and they're still not 100% on offense. So I do think this Houston team at home in another kind of must-win spot, because I do think if they don't win this game, it's a long road to make the playoffs. And they're still live to do that in the AFC because you got Baltimore down. You got some situations where you could get in as a 7th seed, maybe at 9-8. Maybe it takes 10. But this Houston team could still get there. They still have all those games against the division foes ahead, so they could make up ground on Indianapolis and Jacksonville. And so, or I guess they played Jacksonville once, but they haven't played the Colts yet. And so, I think they can still get there, but this is a key game. I think this is a circle wagons game back home for Houston. I do like taking a chance on them at low popularity.
Yeah, and it all comes back to that popularity, like you just mentioned. Anytime you're saying Team A is favored and they're only getting picked 29% of the time, I am probably going to go with Team A, regardless of who that is. I mean, the NFL market is very efficient, and it is for a reason. So I like getting the popularity discount with the Texans, especially if you're looking to make up ground in your game winner pools or if you're in a weekly contest. So our second value pick that we have here for week 8, it's the Thursday night football contest. We have Minnesota Vikings getting value here at the LA Chargers. As we have this, we give the Vikings 38.7% win odds. The spread is +3 or 3.5, depending where you look. The pick popularity is only 19% for the Vikings on the road here. I'm a little bit surprised by this. I'm not surprised that majority are picking Chargers. I'm surprised that it's this big of a discrepancy. Granted, the Vikings did not look good last week, but they were very much in that game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz made some costly mistakes. It does look like Carson Wentz will continue to be the quarterback there, as Kevin O'Connell said, for this short week traveling out west. But what do you see here with the Vikings, Jason, both for talking about a spread pool and game winner pool of them actually pulling off the outright upset?
I mean, I like Minnesota here. This is a game. I agree with you. Where's the public at? It seems like maybe the Wentz factor, maybe how poorly he played last game, is holding him down, and maybe some memories of the Chargers early in the season. This Chargers team hasn't, honestly, they're injury impacted. We'll see if Joe Alt tries to give it a go. He's questionable for Thursday night. He hasn't played. And certainly that's a factor on their offense. Already down Slater at the other tackle position. Without their rookie Marianne Hampton at running back, he's on IR. Just a team that's been battling injuries, and their best game was week 1 against that Chiefs in Brazil, and still looked good the next couple of weeks. But honestly, this team is really battling injuries. Minnesota, on the other hand, I mean, they had a lot of turnovers and blew out, Cincinnati in that first game. Since then, they just haven't created turnovers on defense. They've outgained all of their last 3 opponents. The loss to Pittsburgh, loss to the Eagles, and win over the Browns. And, so I think this is a team that if you don't get extremely bad wins, you're very live to win it. I like Minnesota matching up in this matchup because, if we get some of that turnover variance to turn back from Minnesota, I think you're getting some value there on a team that has a type of defense that can create turnovers, just hasn't done it in the last 3 games.
Yeah, and I do like the Vikings for all those reasons that you outlined there. A couple things to look at for the injury report there. You mentioned Joe Alt for lineman for the Chargers. Want to pay attention to whether he's in or out. Also, left tackle for the Vikings, Christian Darrisaw, was added to the injury report here on Wednesday. So that's an important one for the Vikings. Uh, Regardless of how you slice it, I kind of like the under here. And that means I like the underdog of getting more than a field goal as well. Um, really comes down to how Carson Wentz manages this game. The Vikings are also getting Aaron Jones back, which I think can help out Carson Wentz a little bit. Having another target to throw quick passes to out of the backfield should help Kevin O'Connell with that scheme as well. Uh, but that is our second value pick here for game winner and spread pools. Our third one, we're looking at the Sunday night matchup where Green Bay travels to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have Green Bay catching value here on the road. They are favored by 3, 61% win odds in this game, and the pick popularity is about 56%. So we're catching just a little bit of value, but it is interesting to see a favorite getting picked less than their win odds like this. That's close to a coin flip game. So, I mean, this one's pretty surprising to me as well. Like,
Yeah.
especially the Steelers coming off that meltdown loss to the Bengals. People are gravitating back to the Steelers as our public pick popularity shows. I mean, the Packers, they weren't the most convincing last week at the Cardinals. They almost got clipped on the road there, but I don't know. The Steelers do carry that brand and name recognition. I don't know if it's that, but I will gladly take the value here with the Green Bay Packers, both in spread pools and game winner pools. How do you see this one, Jason?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think this is just a guess. What is going on this week is it's a week when you look at overall the week 8 slate. There's just a lot of teams that are favored by 6 or more. So you have a lot of bigger favorites, like well over half the schedule, it feels like. And so there's just not many of those closer matchups that people have to try to pick. They're breaking towards San Francisco in the Houston one. This is the second lowest spread, I believe, at the moment, at only 3, unless another game's dropped to 3 recently. And I know the Chargers Minnesota is very similar, and I guess people are breaking more toward, hey, we like the Steelers at home than the Vikings on the road. And so you're getting, I think maybe in a different week you wouldn't see this pick distribution, but people like to find that upset, and it seems like this might be the one they're seeing down at the bottom of the odds board. They're like, okay, I can go with the Steelers. Where I think that's what's happening is because of the dynamic of so many big favorites this week, this one's kind of getting circled by close to half the pool is the one they want to take. And so in that case, I just want to, hey, I'll just take the favorite. If close to half are going to take the Steelers, Green Bay's the better team, right? That Pittsburgh defense has been a problem for most. Honestly, the only game they looked good was the game catching the Browns coming back from overseas. But then it turned around and they made Joe Flacco look like he was 28 years old and let Jamar Chase just tear them up. And obviously he's a star, but my gosh, because Rodgers even made plays to get him back in the game, but it didn't matter. They weren't getting a stop. They aren't getting pressure. This is not your older brother Steelers defense at all. And so this Green Bay team has struggled. We saw them struggle on the road with that Cleveland defensive line. I don't think they're going to struggle against this defensive front.
Yeah, and the thing about the Steelers, I think I have a little bit of a theory on why their popularity's up. I already mentioned, the name brand team there and people flock to the Steelers. I mean, that's also true for the Packers. You could just argue that just as much, but the media is pushing the Aaron Rodgers revenge narrative. This is the first time he's faced the Packers since he left them, I believe.
See, I completely blanked. He did play there, didn't he? Okay. Yeah.
How'd you miss Jason? You remember everything else, but you blanked on that one? What's going on?
Yeah. He is the quarterback of the Steelers. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but this game's played with 22 people on the field.
Exactly.
Even if Rodgers plays well, that defense, I think that the problem is the other side of the ball, honestly, in this
one. We saw him have basically like one of his best games in years last week, and it didn't matter because, yeah, that defense was just I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what they were doing against Jamar Chase in the game plan. And you mentioned that Cleveland game, Pittsburgh, how they ate up Cleveland and Dylan Gabriel. The the Browns had no balance in that game. They just sat back and threw the ball with a rookie making his second start, and the Steelers just teed off on him. And I don't know what the Browns were doing. I think that's more of an anomaly of the Steelers defense than what to expect moving forward. So that and plus catching the popularity discount has me leaning towards the Packers here, both for game winner and spread pools. So those are the three value picks we have listed for week number 8. If you want to see, we're adding stuff to this throughout the week. We're adding games that we see the public picks discrepancy with the win odds. So if you want to check that out, it will be linked in the description below. Let's transition over to our favorite picks against the spread. Jason, what do you have teed up for week number 8?
Well, I think I'm going to go back to the Giants. Plus 7.5. We're getting the hook now in a game at Philadelphia. I know they just played 2 weeks ago. The Giants won, so you could have that revenge angle with the Eagles. And the Eagles' passing game did look a little better last week for the first time in a while. But this Giants team, it just feels undervalued to me, and I'm probably guilty of it. I mean, Jackson Dart's inconsistent, but this team's making plays. They have energy. This team is better than we thought at the start of the year. Now with him in at quarterback, with Scadaboo playing a multi-purpose role as running back. They're getting it done without Malik Neighbors in the passing game enough, and I think this is one where I'm willing to take over a touchdown, like on the road in a division matchup where these home field games don't matter as much. And you and I was talking, we were looking before, how many times has a team outright upset a same division opponent as a touchdown dog twice in the same year? It doesn't happen often because we don't get that many upsets. So there's just not very many opportunities, especially in game one. We did find some cases, though. I'll just take people down memory lane here. 2010, the Oakland Raiders against the San Diego Chargers, now in different cities, in a game with Jason Campbell at quarterback, beat, and Darren McFadden at running back, beat the Chargers twice as a double-digit favorite, including a double-digit in the second game on the road. And then in 2006, Houston beat Jacksonville twice as a big dog in the same year. Those are the only two that have happened. Like I said, I don't think it's really, this is just trivia. It doesn't pop up very much. The other one came up in the 2012 Super Bowl year for the 49ers. It wasn't 2 wins, but the Rams that year, the Jeff Fisher Rams, got a win and a tie as big dogs against the 49ers, both against Colin Kaepernick. Those were the only 2 non-wins that 49ers team had after Kaepernick became the starter halfway through that year when Alex Smith got hurt, were to the Rams until the Super Bowl. And so the Rams kind of had their number that year, held that 49ers offense down, and that was another case. They just had a win and a tie instead of 2 wins. But those are the 3 that I found.
That's another team in a former city, St. Louis Rams.
Yes.
Different jerseys, different city.
I think the Giants are staying in New York, but that's my guess.
I would guess, but you never know. If anyone's moving, it might be the Jets, but that's a different story. I don't think the Jets are going anywhere. I'm just kidding.
Jets aren't going anywhere. That is the truest statement ever issued.
Yeah, so that's Jason's pick is the New York Giants plus 7.5. Do you have anything else you want to elaborate on that? I tend to agree with you. The only interesting thing about this that I'm a little concerned about is how that young team, most notably the young playmakers Dart and Scadaboo, react to that massive letdown loss coming from the West where they were playing in Denver, going back.
There's a 50-50 chance they don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Scadaboo probably has no memory of what just happened. So
Yeah. So, I mean, that could work towards his favor. That could work
That's
towards
right.
the Giants' favor. Interesting to see these two teams playing so close together when an upset just occurred.
Yeah.
But yeah, New York Giants getting plus 7.5 there. For my favorite pick against the spread this week, we talked about it a little bit. The Thursday night football matchup. I like the Minnesota Vikings getting plus 3.5 on the road here. Philadelphia looked really good last week. Jalen Hurts was making some excellent passes. The first time we saw that this season, really. And Carson Wentz threw a pick six. It was just chaos for the Minnesota Vikings, and they still had a chance in that game. Which, so I mean, I don't attribute the Eagles getting things going on offense in the passing game last week to any deficiencies from the Minnesota Vikings. I think that defense travels on a short week, and both these teams have question marks. I want to acknowledge that. But the Chargers, man, like they are fading with those injuries to their offensive line and then in their backfield. They just look like a different team from what we saw early in the season. So short week, I love getting more than a field goal here for the Minnesota Vikings. I also lean under on this game a little bit, which kind of supports the underdog case, getting points as well. I want to throw in the caveat that I have not been right about the Minnesota Vikings yet this season, and I do live in Minneapolis and I watch their games every single week. So hey, take that for what it's worth. Maybe I'm due. Maybe I'll get a little positive regression here with the Vikings, but I am taking them on Thursday night football. Uh, Anything you want to add to that, Jason?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll impact the game, but what are your thoughts on, like, this is a Thursday night game rather than a weekend game? We've seen fan bases go to LA to play the Chargers, and the crowd being very pro road team, especially with teams with these passionate fan bases. I would include the Vikings in my. You think the fans are going to be traveling this Thursday game? You think there's going to be a large Vikings vocal contingent at this game?
I do. Obviously, there's less enthusiasm for the Vikings this year than there was last year at this point in time, but still, the Vikings fan base does travel. And if you remember last year, they played at the Rams on a Thursday night and had a pretty good crowd there, a pretty vocal crowd. And I think it's going to be a similar case this week. So, yeah, definitely something to look for. It really doesn't take much to outnumber the Charger fans there. I actually went to a Chargers game last year and it was a great time, like a great tailgate experience. It was a Sunday night football game against the Bengals. So I really don't want to trash the Charger fans. Like they have a great setup and everything there. But yeah, I do expect the Vikings fans to be out in full force.
So I just want to mention one other game. I didn't make it my pick, but I do want to point out that we're still sitting here, I believe, with Baltimore at minus 6.5 against the Bears.
Yep.
As of our recording, Jackson did participate in practice, but he didn't really practice as far as running at full speed, running plays, being part of the offense. He was definitely out there throwing the ball for the first time, and he did not come out on Monday or Tuesday. Like, he wasn't there on Monday in the unofficial one. So I think it's still in play that he doesn't play. I think if there's a question, they may be cautious. Now, that said, they're 1-5. I don't know how much they can afford to lose this game. So this is an interesting one, but so I'm just pointing out that I think the plus 6.5 isn't a bad line, even if he plays, if he's somewhat limited as a runner. But there's a possibility that this line ends up being the Bears' favorite. Like, if Jackson's ruled out, I could see it get into a pick 'em or a favorite. There's a large middle opportunity here to think about that. I'm surprised the market still is where it's at. So I'll just point out that I kind of like the Bears as just a potential, like, that line's still there, and I think it moves. There's
Yeah.
a decent possibility it moves quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's something we will continue to update throughout the week in that article that's listed below in the description, our week 8 football pick'em article. Jason, before we get out of here, we did say we're going to list the teaser. I have my team lined up and ready to go. 6-point teaser here. So we're going to take a team, we're going to tease them up or down 6 points. My selection is going to be the Atlanta Falcons at home against Miami. They are 6.5-point favorites. I'm going to tease that down to half a point. Basically, just win the game against a depleted and just I don't even know the adjective to describe this Miami team. They are just so down on themselves, injuries, everything. Their run defense is terrible. Atlanta did not look good on the road last week, but they play much better at home. I think they get the job done here without much sweat, so I'm taking Atlanta on my side.
I'll throw in, we got a 7.5. There's a bunch of 7.5s, and 7s. As we said, there's a lot of teaser opportunities, and then there's also short ones. So I'm of two minds here. I'll just throw out one dog and one favorite. I like Buffalo teasing down on the road against Carolina. That's probably going to be without Bryce Young, so you're getting that number down to basically win the game, win by 1.5.
Coming off a bye too.
Coming off a bye,
Yep.
coming off of probably they lost at Atlanta and didn't look good. They lost to New England. So, what do you think about this Bills team? Are they going to bounce back? I mean, this is going to tell us a lot. Like, if they're good, they would go out and take advantage of this game and they win it. And so I kind of like Buffalo there, but I also like the teaser better than laying the 7.5. So that's one. San Francisco, we talked about Houston as a value, but if I could tease San Francisco up to the key number of 7 or above, depending on what number you can get, like if it's at 1.5. Houston offense isn't great, and so just buying it's a close game, even if San Francisco loses, I think is also something to consider.
Yeah, those are definitely in play. If I had to choose one between those, it would probably be Buffalo, for the reasons you mentioned. I definitely like my Atlanta side as the anchor there. I mean, I might be picking the
Miami
Falcons.
to continue their Miami ways of dysfunction, the coach, the quarterback, all of it. Yeah.
I might be picking the Falcons on entries that I don't have the Colts available in Survivor, and I know you and Steven Andrus broke that down in our NFL Survivor Week 8 video, so check that out if you're still alive in your NFL Survivor pools. And on top of that, if you're looking for our upset picks, that is now in a separate video. You can find that on our Pool Genius YouTube channel that will be released around the same time as this video comes out. Or you can sign up for our NFL by the Numbers newsletter, which we list our 3 favorite upset picks in newsletter form. They're sent straight to your inbox. You can sign up for that. It's going to come out on Thursday afternoons. So check that out, and good luck in Week 8 with your NFL picks.